referencing Farmer Chippy, and then
this meeting is being recorded.
Oh, it is being recorded. All right.
Yeah. Andrew forgetting to hit the record button on that one, huh?
Yeah, and so now I get all my regular updates from the LinkedIn, and so yeah, between social media, you, Andrew, and my work with Great Kids Farm, Farmer Chippy's just been kind of on my radar.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And Farmer T, I know you have a wonderful story to tell as well. Talk about when you first met Farmer Chippy and kind of what your impressions were, and then we'll move into the host or the guest of our show.
We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time for that. But I will say, like, Farmer Chippy has changed my life and a lot of youth in Baltimore City's lives, just through vibes, urban agriculture, keeping us together, being self-sustainable, and teaching us different ways of life that we never thought were possible. So shout out Farmer Chippy, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be an urban farmer. I would still be in property management and real estate. So it's just been a great life bridge for so many people in Baltimore City to be able to see how you can grow food on your own. Not only let it benefit your health, but take it to a farmer's market with a whole bunch of children, sell your own produce, make income, reinvest it into your neighborhood in different projects. So it's been an amazing ride, and I can't wait to continue this roller coaster ride.
Thank you, Tara. And Chippy, before I get into your introduction, there is a question from the audience about who is winning, Croatia or Argentina?
Oh, why would they put that there? Croatia! I'm the underdog champion over here.
All right. Well, let me give you a proper introduction then. So, and this all goes back to Neith. I was doing an event for, I believe it was Baltimore Innovation Week, and we had the whole top floor of an abandoned warehouse, which is not a place where you want to put a bunch of people with microphones. That sound just bounces everywhere. And so I'm on stage, and there's like, I don't know, 6 people, 5 people in the audience, and Neith is one of them. And then there's Farmer Chippy sitting over there. And Neith, I don't remember if you came up, somehow Neith whispered in my ear. And Neith's got this wonderful, very soft voice, but everyone like leans forward to hear exactly what she's saying because we know it's so valuable. And she goes, "You need to meet that man over there. I'm not going to tell you why," or something like that. I'm like, all right, this guy's a character. He's got his big straw hat on. He's got his muck boots up to his knees. You can tell he means business, and he's cynical as hell. There's no one that's going to tell him anything he ain't heard before. So we started chatting. And he goes, just like with you, Neith, he goes, "Come visit my farm." So I went out there. I'm like, "How did you do this?" And he goes, He goes, "I don't need permission." I'm like, "Oh, dude, you just sang my song. We're going to be the best friends in the world from here on out." And so about that same time, that was 2017, 2018. It was a few years ago, and slowly bumping along with Chippy. But that said, Chippy, I want you to introduce yourself, and then we've got a few more questions for you that the audience or the panelists will ask as well. But the microphone's yours. Who are you?
Just a farmer, an urban farmer. Yeah. So yeah, I'm Farmer Chippy. Kid from Baltimore. Kid from Trinidad that came to Baltimore. I came to Baltimore because of this young man here, Jamal Francis. We had a really wonderful opportunity to live in Randallstown for him to get sort of like an American education. He was talented with the trombone. We didn't know that in Trinidad. And then I came here, big dreadlocks, had to dress in white and black, moving all around the state with this little kid. We came all county. I didn't know much about it, but I quickly learned that supporting this man was going to be an interesting and important part of my development. So fast forward, I had a couple of children here with a wonderful lady, Lisa Francis, and then we lived in Randallstown for a while. And I always was interested in finding a diaspora. I couldn't find a Caribbean diaspora where I was. So I came to the city of Baltimore. And if you don't know, Randallstown is the county. And it's a big difference between county living and city living. So came to the city, I found all my ratchet friends, they did all the things I wanted to do. So, hung out, talk about, the Caribbean and ways to improve it, had drinks. I would always stop here. got a job with GE as a biomedical field service engineer. And then that, moved on for a while. We did a couple of things with that job, but I would always stop in the city before I go home, just to get that vibe. The city had a magical vibe about it. Wasn't sure what it was, but I really loved stopping, chatting with the boys, and then going home to the family. That went on for a while. And then I moved on and I realized, wait a minute, all these abandoned properties, all this, vacant homes, let's see if we can grow some food here. It was always me picking up food at the grocery store, the Korean grocery stores, and then bringing it, and we had to cook the food when I got to my friends. But we would always forget something, either forget the seasonings or the thyme or the chive or something. So I was like, okay, let's start growing that. So we started growing that in small plot, maybe a 8x5 box. And then, after I realized a year went by, no one said anything about me growing the food. 2 years went by, nobody said anything. I was like, okay. I started taking lots all over the place and just planting food, Then I met Neith, and Neith told me about quality, compliance, and safety. I was like, hey, I'm an engineer. That sounds like something I'm interested in. And from there, God bless you, Neith. It was because of Neith that I said to myself, all right, I'm going to do this thing, with real passion and full time. And Neith pointed me into many different directions, and we opened some doors here and there, but something was still missing, something was missing, like that big leap, And of course, she pointed me in the direction of the Maryland Farm Bureau. And then once I found the Maryland Farm Bureau, then all of it opened up. Well, at that meeting that Andrew was talking about, I met this guy, Andrew, and he's talking about, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, I'm all right. Who are you? Fast forward, Andrew was one of the people who I could bounce ideas off. It was difficult to find people to do that because, like Neith says all the time, you're so full of big ideas, Chippy. You got to remember, this is Baltimore, Chippy. So, but Andrew listened, and he was like, he's a big idea man, like giant idea, like bigger than me. I was like, wow, I like this guy. So now his name is Batman. I call him Batman because he had like these amazing access to money, but he had no superpower. So I was like, all right, he's Batman. So from there on, we built a relationship, and we're here now. That's the story of Farmer Chippy.
All right, so I have the first question. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I love this story, this journey from Trinidad, and then you bring in a trombone, and then you're doing biomedical engineering work, and then you're hanging out with your boys, and oh, we need some thyme, or we need some peppers, and we don't have, like necessity is the mother of all beautiful invention. And so you needed those herbs. But I'm curious, I feel like there's a piece of the story missing, or if it's not, then this is even more superb. Was that experience growing those herbs the very first time you had put your hands in the soil, or your first interaction with farming, or was there something else in the past? Had you farmed before?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that. When did you first farm or get a love for farming?
Oh, well, I went to elementary school in the Caribbean, and during the holidays, we call it the holidays, but it's really summer vacation that you guys call it here. I would have to go to my grandmother, and she had a farm. Well, everybody has a farm basically in their backyard or whatever. But I had to put 2 corn and a pea in a hole, several holes, but 2 corn seeds and 1 pea seed. And that had to happen every summertime, as you would call it. And if you ask any Trinidadian kid, that still is happening. We were a country that we had agriculture in our elementary curriculum. So I grew up planting, and we have a way in Trinidad where we trade food, we barter. So if you're growing pimentos and I'm growing tomatoes, I will come over with a basket of tomatoes to you, and you will give me a bag of pimento. This is automatic. So we have these peas that you call snow peas here. We call it same in Trinidad. That grows on the fence, right? And we we have a big Indian diaspora from East India that's settled on our island. So we live amongst all colors, all creed, and all races get together, and we exchange different recipes and different foods. So this is something that I grew up with. The last lines of my national anthem says, "Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation." So I grew up in a country like that. You know what I mean? Like I have Syrians, I have Italians, I have Germans, I have descendants of, the Dutch. We conquered about 6 or 7 flags, and the descendants are still on the island. So we traded recipes, dishes, foods, and that's something that I try to bring to Baltimore. So yeah. So to your question, I've been planting since birth.
And planting seeds, both real seeds and metaphorical seeds, it sounds like. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Well, I've got the next question. So Farmer Chippy, could you tell us, for those of us in the participants who haven't had the luxury of seeing the farm grow over the years, could you tell us about where the farm is now and what kinds of support from Extension have been particularly helpful as you've been growing the farm to where it is now?
Oh yeah. Oh, we're in a wonderful place right now, Neith. I mean, right now I have the opportunity to see the children blossom. Some of the children, I met some of the children when they were in high school. And now some of them have gone on to higher education after college. So I've been able to see children transform from elementary to high to post-college, and some of them has gone on to the world of work, and others have gone on to higher education. So we're in a place now where the farm is run by volunteers. We have a board of directors. Farmer T leads that group. We have outreach coordinators. I'd love to give all of them some credit. We will during the course of this, hopefully, like Miss Pat, who has been solid. She's an elder with us, and she kind of keeps me in line. She she reminds me that you're a boy. Don't forget that. You're a boy. So, and she brings a real interesting flavor to it because, that respect and morals. And, Park Heights is a place where children are allowed to cuss, right? Because the place that we created is a place for children to express who they are and what they know. And we have a special area on the farm for them, a place where adults are not allowed, really. So if an adult comes up there and hear the children cursing and try to discipline them, of course, they will be reprimanded. So the children, they don't play with that. But what's the most important piece is the development of the children and the development of the community over the years. I am able to now sit around on Thursday when we deliver. We do food box distribution every Thursday. We distribute more than 200 boxes to more than 200 residents. During this time, I get a chance to really feel the vibes of the community. And this is one of the best periods. It's Thursday from 12 midday until sometime 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And people just pull up on us, from all different races, color, creeds, ethnicity. It's a really diverse neighborhood. And you get a chance to talk to them and you get a chance to listen, right? And some of the feedback is just phenomenal, the gratitude, the thanks, the thanks for being here, thanks for doing what you do, and that is very rewarding. So
well, Chippy, let me ask you this, because I've been out there on those days and I experienced that. I loved it. If someone in the audience wanted to come and volunteer or just take part in something like that, is there a way for them to help out and volunteer on those days? And if so, what would they do? Yeah,
so you have to send an email to us. You can go on our website, plantationparkheights.org. You can find an email address there, or the email address is plantationparkheights@gmail.com. farmchip.com. Send an email with your questions and concern, and we'll have our team. Like I told you, we have a team now. They'll send a volunteer form to you, or a link to a volunteer form, and then you put the time you're available and your skill set and different things, different questions. You fill it out, send it back, and we'll factor you into it. But we'll be glad to have volunteers. We encourage volunteerism. We encourage service. And we asking that you come out on a Thursday and see if it's a fit, see if it's a place that you would like, see if it's something that you would like to do, because everybody's excited about volunteering and they're excited about agriculture, but this is not easy work. We just make it fun and easy, you know?
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on this one, because Crystal's going to be there cooking some Thai food with every ingredient in that box. So the neighborhood knows what the menu is going to be that week. And at the end of that day, it smells pretty good, right?
Yeah. So apart from Crystal, we have also the soup. We have our soup, our Thursday soup. We have a special soup we make on Thursday. It's all vegetable. And then we have the conversation piece. Don't forget that piece. The conversation piece is where you meet people of like minds. And it's a place for PhDs who have never really been trained to serve this team to be able to come down from there and be able to meet the average person and talk to a regular, common person and understand the needs. So one of the things that Neith has done is expose the farm to the variety of training programs. So that's the University of Maryland. They have Master Gardener training. We have beginner farmer training. We have GAP training. We have food safety training. All of these trainings came from there. And during the pandemic, we had a real interesting piece of training that was very essential to us. And that was like our health and wellness training. Sort of like mental health. Mental health 101 was the training. It was very, very valuable to us because nobody was talking about that. It was the elephant in the room for quite some time. And after that training, we, our core team in particular, understood how to deal with others during this critical time. It's something that I recommend for everyone and every organization. Try to get some mental health training before you plan for the people that you've never worked with before. It is important. Yeah. I hope I answered your question, Neith.
You did. Thank you. And I do want to second what everyone said. It is just such a lovely place to visit when you've got your open house days on Thursdays.
Yeah. Yeah, we invite you to come down there. Please come down and feel the vibes and see the people, meet the folks. And there's always someone there to answer the questions that you have. And I'll be there live, so you get to talk to me as well.
Icing on the cake. So Farmer Chippy, you know, we are all, whatever industry, whatever walk of life we're in this region, fortunate to have so many institutes of higher education that intentionally want to partner with grassroots organizations. And so you've spoken a lot about partnership with University of Maryland. But can you talk a bit about what you have going on with Morgan State? And then before you wrap up that question, tell people where they can find you, such as hint, the Druid Hill Market. And, you know, if there are any plans for expansion, are there other properties coming up online? Are there other ways that people can find you or other physical locations? We can share about that. And then actually, I was wrong about what I wish for you to wrap up with. I wish for you to wrap up with telling us about your hot sauce, please.
Okay. Let me see.
Boy, I wonder who put that question on the list. All right, so the Morgan State collaboration, very valuable. Thank you to Samia and to Harold for really, really diving deep into our community and our group, right? So I met Samia quite some time ago, and Samia is actually the architecture trainer, teacher, professor, head of department. I'm not sure what she is right now. She's done a lot and she's moved through the ranks through the years. But Samia was very crucial because Samia believed from the beginning. Samia always says that I teach her a lot, but I think she teaches me a lot. She taught me how to design my life. And
respect what I do, and how to redesign my life. And I really thank her for that. But she brought about 4 different capstone projects to Park Heights. And these children, amazing talent, wonderful, young, brilliant, dynamic architects who all came together to design the farm. So the farm is designed as it is, but the expansion piece of the farm, we didn't always have all this land. We had some land, and then we brought in Samia. We talked to her about what we would like to do. She brought in the students. The students came to Park Heights, felt the vibe, spoke with the community. We brought the community in to find out what they wanted. We all sat together over the soup, the salad, and the sandwiches that we make. We found ways. We disagreed many a times. There was arguments, differences, and then finally we found ways to work together to develop the area and to develop a pattern that what you see now. When you come to the farm, you will see it now. We did a bunch of hoop houses, raised beds, which were the standards that, we learned that from Neith and our team, that if you start in and you go in, you're going to do things the right way from the beginning, then the children can always learn the right way from the beginning. So we stuck with hoop houses, which are like high tunnels, and raised beds, which were made out of wood, and we built our soil from scratch with the absolute best material of trash around. So nothing wastes on the farm. If we cut a tree down, we save the branches, right? If we clean up the area, we save the leaves. Whatever it is that looks like trash or dirt or muck, we find compost out of it, and we build our beds from that. So everything was built from right there in the neighborhood, and then we truck in compost from Pennsylvania, from Full Circle Compost, which is Lisa and them. So
Chippy, can you just talk? You mentioned a story to me a while back about when you were starting to accumulate piles of coconut husks and how the neighborhood benefited from this extraordinary pile of coconut husks in unexpected ways.
Yeah, so we have a young lady that drives around selling coconuts. So every time she sells her coconuts, she keeps the refuge because she doesn't know what to do with it. I said, bring it to me. And we built a big pile of coconut husk. And that's actually at the base of all our beds. So fast forward, after it decomposed after 5 years, now this happened like 2018, 2019, 2020, up until now, we still get it. That's Pam. Shout out to Pamela. Good job, Pam. So she would bring that, and she would bring them in cardboard boxes. Of course, the base of our beds were built from cardboard boxes, and then the next layer would be coconut husk. So nobody knew what we was doing. They were like, what the hell is this? Nobody understood it. Fast forward, now we have Cornell wanting to come out to figure out why our brassicas are growing so big and healthy. So that was a big thing for us, right?
Well, Chippy, for the non-ag people, what is a brassica?
Oh, the brassica. Oh, anything that's family to the cabbage. So kale, mustard greens, collards, all of that. It's a whole bunch of it. You can Google that, brassica. So we grow a lot of brassicas in Park Heights. It's one of our commodity crops because it grows well, and it does well during the colder weather, so like it doesn't really feel like the other crops like peppers as the season changes. So we grow a lot of that. But with this material, this compost that we put together, we had big, giant, 3 foot tall, 2.5 foot tall kale. People were like, what is going on over here? Yeah. So that's one of our little secrets. So Cornell is coming to, do some research on our soil, in-depth research. We do get a soil test every year from the University of Maryland and sometimes from Johns Hopkins, depends. And sometimes both of them. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about the collaboration with the other universities. So we do the architecture and planning piece with Morgan State. We do the architecture and landscaping piece with University of Maryland School of Architecture and Landscaping, and we're doing a research around health disparities with Johns Hopkins and Jenny, Thank you, Jenny. And that's the first study around health disparities on an urban farm using the boxes. So what we did is non-invasive tests with people to find out where they are, and then we feed them this food, and then we test them again later on to see how they have improved over the period of time. And this has been a phenomenal thing because we had 75 participants. We had Sydney, our little PI from Johns Hopkins, working with Bria, our little PI from Plantation Park Heights. So all of these amazing dynamics happening, and they're still happening. So the results for that comes out in January. Look for that. That's a big deal. It's the first time it's ever happened, and it was done with Johns Hopkins in collaboration with Plantation Park Heights, and we get published in January. We're waiting for that, Jenny. Right, so that's that piece. And then we have the elementary schools, I must mention, like Tracy Martina from Creative City. Thank you, Tracy, for believing in us. I know we haven't made much traction, but you know, the politics in Park Heights are real, and we are working through it. That's one of the things with the elementary school. Connecting with the elementary schools have been a challenge for two reasons. The outreach coordinators have been changed every 2 years. So every time we pick up traction, we lose traction, right? So we're working on that. Park Heights is a challenge, but we are there. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to work through it. Park Heights Academy, Miss Monica McLean, we are coming to you again. We're going to try to do it again. But like I say, we just got a new coordinator over at Park Heights Academy. So we're going to work with her again and see what happens. But now we're invited to talk with cross country above Northern Parkway and fall staff. So we are in the process of working with Arlington, the Arlington Garden. There's Arlington Elementary School, but we have an Arlington Garden that's a community-based garden. We have put brassicas in that recently, and we're working with them to maintain it for the rest of the year. So until next season, we'll be there to ensure that the crops are in there and the place is maintained, because that's one of the biggest challenges that we've had. Everybody wants to do a garden, but nobody puts a maintenance plan in place. So
well,
we
Chippy, along those lines, wasn't there a plant that had some sort of outcome that was bluish in color that was going in a lot of gardens as well?
Yeah, the indigo. Yeah. Let me talk about that a little bit. The indigo, yes. So we believe that indigo is going to be the commodity crop for urban agriculture. That is our firm belief. So we've partnered with Micah and Sherry in particular, and we have been growing indigo for the last 3 years. And now we are the champs of indigo. We have tons of seeds and we're ready for the next season. We want to make sure all the collaborations that we have with the schools, every school grows indigo because it not only makes a beautiful flower and a beautiful plant, it is also used to dye clothes. And that's a big deal for the children. We have Mama Kabibi, who has done a lot of workshops with us, riding around on an Araba cat. Right, so she's riding around. This horse is pulling this cart, and she brings it to the event with a bunch of indigo in the back, tons of T-shirts. People get to dye their own shirt. You should see the smiles and the amazingness when this is happening. You got to be there. You got to be there. And we're gonna work with them to do a series of workshops in the new year. So stay tuned for that. Check us on the website, plantationparkheights.org, for the updates. That's a big piece. Thanks for reminding me about that, Mr. Andrew.
You started talking a bit about some of your plans for the coming year. Would you expand on Plantation Park Heights' future plans? And I don't know if we got to the hot sauce. So if there's any future plans for hot sauce, that future plans, hot sauce?
Yes. So future plans. Future plans is to continue to wean ourselves off grants and make the business into what we call a sustainable, functional business model. So we have been able to do a lot with the help of some of our funders, which I need to mention later on, but let me finish this piece first. What we want to do is we want to be able to create our own work and manage our own resources. So with that said, we have started this year with 3 farmers markets. One farmers market on a Wednesday from 3 o'clock until 7 o'clock at Druid Hill Park. The second one is the Johns Hopkins Farmers Market, and that's on Thursday between 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And the third one is our own farmers market. It's a Saturday night farmers market where you come out and party to Caribbean music and reggae, home cook traditional Caribbean exotic dishes like shack and bake and soups and many other things like roti and things like that. And that is on Saturday between the hours of 4 in the afternoon and 9 at night. Now that's the off the chain Litte party.
And if any of our audience has links to any of these, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I'm not keeping up with all this stuff right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have all this on the website.
And you will. And there's ginger beer too, for those of you who don't drink.
Oh yeah, plenty ginger beer. And also we have the homemade ginger beer for those who really want the taste of the tropics. And that's what we do on the Saturday, Taste the Tropics. We invite you to come and experience the Caribbean right in the middle of Baltimore. Right?
Chippy, we have a question here from the audience. Talk a little bit about controlled environment agriculture, hoop houses, greenhouses, LEDs. What's happening there?
So there's a lot happening in that space. We grow in soil. We're soil nomads. We are serious about our soil. But with the way things are happening now, we are trying to integrate several different models of growing. So we are building hoop houses. We are also bringing fish in to do aquaculture. And we are growing with water. Lots of water growing going to be happening in the new year. What you call hydro, right? And there's aeroponics too that we're working on. We can talk more about that. Plenty. There's so much. That's a whole webinar by itself. But the diversified way of growing now is to make sure that we can feed our community, all of them, and we can keep our children on the cutting edge of the technology as it progresses. You see, the way things are going now, we have to be able to use 13 different types of grow methods in order to stay current. And we want to make sure that our children, in particular, the elementary schools, are up to date on the latest technology. We are also going to include drones and robots in our STEM program because our STEM program is really STEAM, S-T-E-A-M. And the A has a square on it for agriculture and arts. So we're rolling that out in 2023 first quarter. Look for that as well. All this information will be available on our website.
And Chippy, I'm sorry, going back to the prior question. When do the farmers markets run? Is it year round? Is it certain seasons? If someone went down there this weekend, are they going to be able to find something?
No, we are human beings, we need rest. So we kind of go from Juneteenth. Our big days are from Juneteenth, which is June, until Labor Day, and sometimes we go till Thanksgiving. It all depends. But we are making a run in 2023 to go from Juneteenth which is June 19th, until Thanksgiving 2023. We want to make sure everybody get a little taste of the tropics. So we'll take our time and we will roll hard. And now we have a solid team that's well trained up by the University of Maryland. And we have built big capacity now. We've now erected 4 hoop houses. We're about to finish 2 more. And we are rolling out 50 new raised beds. So this is going to be all completed by the spring of 2023. So we look forward to seeing one and all. So all those who want to volunteer, this is your moment.
Farmer Chippy, you have a question in the audience from someone who's asking about, what is your relationship like with the government, whether it's federal, state, or city, as it pertains to them supporting your vision for what the city needs?
Oh, Cheech, I really have to answer that.
Actually, you know what, Farmer Chippy? You asked the question in the chat because it's someone using your link, so it looks like you put the question in. So answer your own question.
All right, then. Okay, all right. I will try to be as positive as I can about it.
Okay.
The city of Baltimore offered up a little bit of resources, and I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for the individuals who saw the value in what we were doing and who still see the value in it and support us regardless. There are good people in the government, don't get me wrong. The system itself is not designed for us. It's not designed for small scale farmers. It's not designed for Black and brown people. It's just not designed that way. And I can't blame anyone for that. That's an old system, right? But the people, there are wonderful people in the government, and I'm going to mention Kelly Bacala, my planner. Thank you, Kelly, for believing in us from the beginning. Thank you. Like Neith, she saw the vibe, she felt the vibe, and she said, this is something good. So she is the planner for Northwest, and she has been advocating on our behalf. I also want to thank Taylor LaFave and his whole crew. Like that whole food crew is just amazing, amazing, right? We started with the USDA had a program, was funded by FEMA, where they rolled out some food boxes. And we started a long time with them in the beginning of the pandemic. Here comes Baltimore City in the tail end of the pandemic, picking up, when the FEMA money was done, they picked up the food boxes. And of course, cut our distribution by half because they couldn't afford. So from 350 boxes distributed every week to the people in need in our community, it went down to 150. We sought some funding from other agencies, including some of our partners, to kind of keep the thing going, you know. It worked for a while, and then the city picked it up, and then now we're at 200 boxes or so weekly. We still haven't gotten up to our numbers. But I love the effort of Taylor and his team. I think they're going to be wonderful going forward. I think they're all new, and they've done nothing but shown a good hand to us. So kudos to them for working with us through the pandemic and for making such big stride. And then from the state, from the federal level, the USDA is really trying to get this money into the hand of Black and brown farmers, but they are unable to. And there are many reasons for that. There are wonderful people at the USDA, people we've met who have worked with us to bring us up to speed on what is needed, etc. But the system is not designed. No farmer can grow food, get an EIN number, write a grant, get a cage code, get a UEI number in order to qualify to do business with the federal government. No farmer can do that. It is important that the federal government recognize this and set up a back office for farmers, because farmers in Baltimore don't have proper representation. You don't have proper representation in Baltimore if you're competing with the very group that is supposed to represent you. So we are in trouble. If the USDA need to get this money out, we need a back office. I am challenging many organizations to build a back office. We need to come together. So we're talking with Maryland Farm Bureau, we're talking with Future Harvest, we're trying to get everyone, and we're talking with the Department of Health in Baltimore City. If we can develop a back office for farmers, we can get farmers to grow food, and we can access this money so that they can bring it to Baltimore, and we can build resources that are necessary to grow.
Thank you very much for that. And yes, Taylor and the team, I used to work for Baltimore City, and I know the heavy lift that there was when they were dealing with so many unknowns about, you know, the food bank was also running out of inventory or couldn't order fast enough, and there was supply chain issues. So definitely appreciate the work that they've done. And you've just planted so many, again, here you go with the seeds, but planted so many seeds in my head about who else should you be having conversations with, like, you know, Mayor's Office of Economic Development or the Small Business Administration. I have to imagine that collectively, I see that face, and I'm not saying that it has happened, but maybe with, you know, there's new leadership in some of those offices, so maybe worth.
You have much more faith than me, Chichi, and I am at this stage where I cannot do it anymore. I rather hold hands with children and bring them to agriculture. I'm really good at that.
All right, task me with that.
I challenge you, double dare you. Yeah, and if it wasn't for Neith and her team, I can't stress enough about the support we've gotten from that group, you know. And Denny, my architecture man. Oh, Denny. Oh, and beyond. Oh, yes. Those are landscaping and architecture people. Those are the professors I'm giving kudos to, because it was challenging in the beginning. I mean, we're all from different cultures, right? But I concentrate on children. I am focused on children. My business is to bring children to agriculture and promote young architects. That's my business. The other piece, running down behind people who should be doing their job to tell them to do their job, that's not my business. My frustration level is too much, and I can't bring the love and joy that I bring to the children. So I know my job and I know my role. So I kind of mind my business, you know. I kind of know my place in the people's place. Let's call it that. You know?
So delegate the rest out.
Yes, I will. And I challenge you to deal with the government entities, and Andrew will deal with the others, and Neith will deal with the others. And I will bring the children to the promised land of agriculture and growing their own food and self-sufficiency and those types of things.
Chippy, you just stole my last question. I was going to lead you up to the softball question of what is your vision for the future and your dream for this whole thing, and it's to hold the hands of the children and teach them about agriculture. You told me that almost day one.
Yes.
And I said, if that is your dream, I will make this possible for you, and we will handle all the other parts of the empire, so you're free to do that thing. And you know, that actually was instructive. You know, when Bree and Cam went through school, they didn't go through school to be agronomists. They went to law and other things that you're going to need as you build this empire of businesses that are interrelated. So you're free to go out and hold the hands of children and teach them about the joy of agriculture and getting their hands dirty and all that. So you stole my question. I appreciate you doing that, buddy. But at this point here, I would like for you to just talk a little bit more about what's coming. You know, I need to touch on what's on the horizon there. But you know, what is that bigger picture look like? You know, and talk about the islands as well, because I would like to get a little bit deeper, because I know you've got there's an opportunity for the audience to help you out with some additional donations for the children to go to the islands. And well, I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, couple of things. Currently, there's a big issue globally around young Black boys killing young Black boys. This is not a Baltimore thing. This is not just a Caribbean thing. This is an international thing. And it's gotten to the point where it needs to be addressed immediately. So we are putting this big symposium on in the Caribbean in summer of next year. And I'm taking a couple of my boys who are in my program here. It's 15 to 25-year-olds, that is the endangered species, we're calling them, right? And we want to take them to the Caribbean in order for them to understand a different quality of life, people who are doing more with less resources, that type of thing, and for them to talk with people their age internationally so that they can exchange ideas, right? A platform to exchange ideas. And one of the things we're doing is we're bringing some heads of governments to this meeting as well, so that they can listen. You know, we have a problem with listening. You know, everyone is making plans for our children on Zoom without including them. For example, we have a 2020 forecast, right? A 2040 forecast. We are planning for 2040. The SDG goals are for 2040, all of that. But no 5-year-old is included in the conversation. That's a problem, right? The people who are actually having this conversation may not be around when my 5-year-olds turn 25 and they're ready to start their life and maybe have children and all that. So we need to really take another look of how we look at these things, how we judge these things, how we gauge these things, right? That's one piece. Another piece is in Baltimore, there's a lack of understanding on a few things. Baltimore is a chicken box town, right? Growing food out of the ground in deserted landscapes and where broken down houses are, it's not a thing. It is not a thing in Baltimore. You know, people can't see it. And the children in Baltimore, they learn from superheroes. So if you have a superhero, like you have a guy who's doing really good in basketball, of course, basketball will be popular in the hood. You have a guy doing really good at football, football will be popular. But we don't have somebody doing really good at tennis. So you see the tennis courts are empty, right? They have become abandoned, most of them. So now they have a superhero, Farmer Chippy, that walks around with a tall boots and a straw hat. And I have elementary children saying, I want to be like Farmer Chippy. When I grow up, I want to own all the lands in Park Heights. Now, this is the type of image we want to create and maintain in Park Heights, but we need help. So we're going to need all hands on deck to make this happen. And part of this is Park Heights has a big Caribbean diaspora. The Baltimore Sun had an article recently where when the people left Park Heights, the void was filled by Trinidadians, Jamaicans, and Haitians. And now, if you look from Northern Parkway all the way down to Cold Spring, there's a lot of Caribbean nationals that own businesses there. And the children that are attending the local schools, they understand my accent because their grandmother or their grandfather talk like that. So it's easy to connect them. So we want to be able to connect what we're doing here with the Caribbean because we see some synergy there. While we're talking about doing this, we need all hands on deck. So I need the government of Baltimore City, Chichi, hint, hint, to understand what we're doing so that I can speak with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I think I have a friend on here called Chris Keller, hint, hint, so we can connect and then be able to share resources across the platform. If that can happen, then I will know that I've done my job, because this is no longer an isolated thing where one person is doing it in silo or one city is doing it in silo. We are all connected through social media, through networking, through different sources. And I want to be able to speak on a giant platform to see how we can find resources to connect all the cities together and all the folks together to get results around this. That's one of the big things that we're talking about here.
Well, and Chippy, I just want to interject here too, because the kids in Baltimore, they might view you as a superhero in Baltimore. They might not realize how important you are on a national stage. I mean, if you reflect back what you've accomplished in 2022, the National Farm Bureau now has an urban agriculture plank in their platform, and that's due solely to you and your efforts, your energy. You are also a top 10 national finisher in the Ag Innovation Challenge. I mean, you are absolute celebrity on the national stage a little bit too. So I don't want folks that are watching just thinking that Chippy here is a Baltimore phenomenon, and we haven't even broached the international stuff, and that we'll say that for another call too. And and if you don't believe what I'm saying, you got to tune into MPT tonight and see this wonderful television show featuring our friend Chippy. And I saw the trailer for it. It looks like all the plants are still green. So I'm assuming this was filmed at a different part and time of the year than right now.
Yeah, it was filmed in the summer, and we've been waiting for it. And then finally Bob called and said, hey, it's coming out. And we're like, wow, really? We forgot all about it. We really didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're super excited for this. This is an opportunity for us to tell our story. And I'm sure Tiara and Liam and Bria and all my colleagues on this are really excited, because all of us got a chance to be interviewed individually. And I would really like to see what they came up with at the end. You know, this was long in planning, and we're looking forward to it. And so it's tonight, and it's on PBS. It'll be on PBS as well. It's on several different networks. So this is a big one for us. Thank you for believing, team, and thank you for sticking together. I just want to take a minute to tell my team, I love you all. We've come a long way, and we can't turn back now. Let's stick together. And everyone is going to Puerto Rico together to the American Farm Bureau Federation Convention. That'll be in January. Look for us, because we'll be making a hell of a lot of noise.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of hands to be shaken down there too. I've already loaded you up with a whole bunch, so that's gonna be fun.
Yes, we're looking forward to that. We were top 10, like Andrew said, Ag Innovation Teams in 2020. We got Farmer of the Food Shed 2021, and we got Most Innovative Farmers in 2021 from the Maryland Department of Agriculture. By the way, kudos to the Department of Agriculture, Maryland Department of Agriculture. You guys are great. It took a long time for you to turn the corner, but now with Bill at the helm, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Between Bill and Thomas, we will be able to get the necessary in order to do what's necessary. I love it. These guys are building programming and programs and grant programs around urban agriculture. Now, this has never been done before. And this is part of this is because we were able to champion urban agriculture at the county level, Baltimore County Farm Bureau. And then we championed it at the state level, Maryland Farm Bureau, and then at the national level, American Farm Bureau Federation. So urban ag is no longer a hobby, it is actually a career path. So let's take it serious. It's an opportunity to onboard those children that are sitting on the corner to grow food right out the ground. And they are very excited about doing it. And I think I should plug this as well. Maryland has now passed a referendum around cannabis. So it is an opportunity to onboard my corner boys into a career path that's financially lucrative going forward. Let's pay attention to that space, please, because we're coming.
And there are a few other shout outs here, and obviously everyone's congratulating you on all your successes, as they very well should. And this is Chichi and Neith and Farmer T. Let's be proud of Baltimore. We oftentimes we're in the headlines for the wrong reasons. This is an opportunity for us to change that dialogue, and the fact that we've been doing this quietly. We've been we're not doing this for glory. We're doing this for the right reasons. It's not for our generation. It's not even for the next generation. It's 2 or 3 generations down is what we're working on here. And Chippy, again, I mean, our friendship, I mean, I don't know what it was, because both of us were skeptical of the other person we first met. And then, maybe that's what it is, two guys just kind of circling. But, now I've got your back, that, and vice versa.
Yours,
I know.
Yeah, legacy. We're going for legacy, like you said, brother. Legacy is our journey from here on in. We've done it all already. We've done all that we discussed in that meeting. So it's time for us to just buckle down, get some legacy under our belt, and continue to doing the great work. I'm excited about that. And thank you, Farmer T, for being that soldier, my ride or die. Thank you, sis. Love and blessings all the time. Good job. Yeah.
T's the best, because remember that first meeting I convened over at Morgan State? And you didn't show up, and T showed up, and I didn't know T was going to be there. I know who T was, and we had a cater and all this stuff, and she led that meeting. I'm like, oh, she's all right, and she's not brash or out there. She just says what needs to be said, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, good. Chippy, if you have any closing comments, or Chichi or Neith, I'll open this up here. I saw a few hands were raised, but I believe we addressed those questions in there. Definitely donate. And
yeah,
donate as much as possible.
I want to give a shout out to the Rite Aid Healthy Futures, because without them, we wouldn't have been here. This thing is run on finances, right? We have to have finances in order to run this. And it was challenging getting money from people to grow food in abandoned lots, right? And then Rite Aid, we wrote to them, and they wrote back, we wrote to them again. And then we had a nice long conversation, and they said to me, Farmer Chippy, do your thing. Here is this grant. It's for 2 years. We've got you. I've never met anyone from Rite Aid. No one ever came to me. I met them online. What they're saying to me is they believe in us, and they trust us, and they have our back. I have to say thank you to Rite Aid for all the things that they've done in the past and what they continue to do. This is very important. And all the other workers in the vineyard, you know, it's too much to list, you know. A lot of people have been really helpful. A lot of our silent donors as well. I mean, I'd love to call their name, but they choose not to be mentioned. So I'll keep that in my fold. And I'm looking forward to working with the USDA and having them curtail their grant programs so that it can get to the people who are doing the work in Baltimore. There's so many wonderful folks doing the work in Baltimore and are not supported. We want to be able to champion that and be able to bring that revenue in. So we've gone above and beyond, especially when it comes to the Department of Health for Baltimore. We have had extensive conversations with them about bending into a position where they can actually be a sort of like a warehouse to support this movement. You know, the movement is really a health initiative. I mean, it's workforce development and it's a whole bunch of other things, but getting people healthy is important because once they are healthy, then we can move to the next step, right? I want to thank people for that. And if you guys will be so generous as to help us continue our work by donating, we are going to drop a link in the chat. Please feel free to give $1, $100, $1,000, $100,000, whatever you can afford. We are $1 million. We will take that too. Yeah. So, and thank you to my Trinidad and Tobago.
Hey, Chippy, before you wrap up here, we did have a question sneak in before the request lines closed here. And I'll preface this. I was out in Minnesota in early October at the Food Ag Ideas Week, where it's the entire CPG community comes together for exchange of what's the future look like. And I sat in on one of the food security urban resiliency sessions, and I sat in the front row, and you know me, I like to ask a lot of questions. And as soon as the panel heard I knew Farmer Chippy, all of a sudden my stature in the room went like this. And I'm like, oh, all I gotta do is say the words farmer. And afterwards they even invited me out there for the photographs, because now I'm a celebrity because I know you. I'm famous by proxy. But the question here is, talk about, you know, this is awesome for Baltimore, but Philadelphia or Durham or other cities could really benefit. They've tried. The model is not there. They don't have a Chippy. They haven't gone through the process you've gone through. What plans do you have to share what you've learned here with other cities that are in need as well?
So by the first quarter of next year, we would have tightened up the Agri-Hood Baltimore. Now we can pick it up and move it to other cities. I have been fortunate enough to meet other farmers in other cities because of the Farm Bureau. Maryland Farm Bureau and the American Farm Bureau Federation. I have met a lot of farmers, and we are now building a network to bring the Agri-Hood to several different cities. The thing about the Agri-Hood, though, you can't bring your thing and give it to somebody else. What you can do is bring a thing and invite the others who are already doing the work to take from it and see what works and what doesn't work there. So this is going to be what we call in the beta session. That's 2023. That's where we move around and we plant our goods in other people's forests, but they pick out what seeds they want to sow. And we are very, very conscious about that because we don't want to go tell people what to do. That's not the model. That wasn't the model when we started, and it's not going to be our model going forward. But we will bring a whole basket of goodies and put it in their face and say, pick what you like. Because something was happening before we got there. And we have to know what it was and what works and what's not working before we offer our services. So we're going to spend the next 2 years listening as we move around. And in 2025, we're ready to share whatever resources we have with the rest of the world.
And I do want to stress one other thing too. I know we've talked about it several times. I do want to stress the importance of the healthy eating outcomes here. When I first engaged with you, the way I was able to bring the state of Maryland on board was discussing the healthy outcomes that were being provided by what you've done here. And for me, I'm production agriculture. So I wasn't even thinking about that piece of the equation, but how important that really was. Just not only for, you know, checking that box, but the lives of the people in the community, how much better they are just by virtue of you being there and teaching them how to do this.
That's a great point, Andrew. Quick story. When I first got here, I tried to cook soup for the children. They would frown on the soup. They'd be like, "What is that? No, we want pizza." All right, I bought the pizza for about a year, and then about into 18 months into it, I started picking the vegetables, having them chop up the vegetables and put on the pizza. That was a big deal. What I've learned from that lesson is to include people, you have to first meet them where they are. So we didn't know about that. That's why I'm so adamant about not just bringing things from all over and trying to dump it wherever, you know. We have to first meet the people where they are. Fast forward to now. You think Thursday can come and I don't cook the soup? No way. Everyone's like, "Yeah, what's up with the soup, man?" So it's a big difference now. And the thing is, all the nutrients that we use are either from the boxes that we distribute or from the farm. The only thing we get from the store is salt, sodium chloride. That's it. Other than that, every single ingredient, from the seasonings to all the vegetables to the leafy greens, all of it comes from the farm or from the boxes that we distribute. So we're trying to say we don't give people what we don't eat. And one more thing I have to mention, it was a little secret, but I'll let you guys know. Because we got our GAP certification from Neith and them. Neith helped us with our GAP certification, and her colleagues, of course, and the Department of Agriculture.
Chippy, for the non-ag food people, what is GAP? What does that mean?
Oh, it's good agricultural practices. It is a standard that's needed if you're going to sell your food in the stores. So we finally got it after 3 years of trying. And now we have conversations and discussions with Safeway and Acme about putting our food in their stores. So this is part of our self-sufficiency move and making our model, weaning ourselves off grants and building a sustainable model that really works. So kudos to my team for working hard, especially Farmer T for making sure all the boxes were checked, and Farmer Liam for never giving up. Good job. Farmer Bree, thank you for the paperwork. And all the others, thank you. Miss Pat, Blacks, Elijah, I have so much names, I can't even call everybody, but thank you all for believing. We're going to be in good standings come 2023 because of your hard work. So get ready. We have more work to do.
Yeah, and somebody just dropped in the chat box here. Carol Allen and Shauna Henley deserve credit as well for the GAP certification.
Yes, Shauna, thank you. And Shauna, thank you for the surveys. Thank you for the cooking demos. Thank you for all the equipment and instrumentation. And Carol, thank you for being patient with us. I know we were a challenge. I know. And Chuck, don't forget Chuck Schuster. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck. We love Chuck. We want more of Chuck.
So this is the part of the movie where the credits keep on rolling out. So we can just thank whoever we want for as long as we want to do that.
Yeah. There's so many.
Hey, we got to mention the word Ewing. That's got to be in the sentence somewhere too.
The Batman's Batman.
The commissioner.
Yeah, Ewing, thank you for showing up yesterday and having that wonderful conversation with us. You motivate me, man. You make me want to go, bro. You're like the gas, bro. You put gas in me. Thank you, Ewing. And I look forward to working on the bigger things with you, brother.
Well, you'll see me in Puerto Rico. You'll be down there with me.
I'll see you in Puerto Rico. We'll have a few.
Chichi, Neith, Farmer T.
Thank you so much for your wonderful demeanor and for making this such a joyful thing.
Absolutely, I echo that, and it was a pleasure spending an hour with you and listening to you in your effusive energy and just the litany of amazing things that are coming down the pike. So just, yeah, wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Cheese. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And Neith, you already know, my heart is to you. Without you, I would not be here. Thank you.
Get in line, Chippy. You're probably like one of 400 people that would say the same thing.
Yeah. No, she's super amazing. Amazing.
You're making me blush. You guys do the hard work.
Hey, you give me the guidance.
I just get to hold your hand a little bit.
That's all I need. Hold my hand. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what the good ones say, right? And then Farmer T, thank you so much for getting up. I know you're up all night taking care of those seedlings, making sure they don't wilt in the heat there, but we do appreciate it. We know something good's coming.
That's indigo seeds, bro. Indigo seeds.
Get
Tons
out.
of them.
Oh man. How
Yeah, I'm working
that's
on
the
some
story.
indigo projects right now, but thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Donate.
Yeah, boy, when that Indigo movie comes out, I want to help write that script. That's going to be a fun one. Anyway, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. This has been lively, entertaining. Make sure you tune in tonight, Maryland Public Television, PBS, and I'm sorry, Chippy, your fingers in the air. Do you have something you want to say?
One more thing. Go Croatia!
You're the best, man. All right, I could turn this off.